North America, the wait is finally over. This is the Clash Royale League Finals. Number 1 against number 2. Immortals against Complexity. For all the glory and a trip to the World Finals in Tokyo. Gentlemen, the crown is yours for the taking.
The winner flies across the Pacific, the loser goes home, and winning so much this season, Royal second on the worldwide ladder, and here 11-2 overall in 1v1 sets. Behind him, the duo Crap and the God RF, one of the best 2v2 pairs on the planet, looking to again make a statement against the other best 2v2 pair in the entire world, The Wall, Colton and Razor. Double-digit wins in the regular season. One more would start their squad off right today, and backing them up, Adrian Piedra, who's come up big in the biggest moments of the season, needs just 2 more game wins today to add that all-important final victory to his record. Immortals versus Complexity. And if you missed it in the European region earlier today, we have a special guest, the voice of the king all season. Let's go backstage and meet our ruler.
I told you already, it's me, Alvaro. This isn't the show, guys. Hey, Rich, Andrew, are you ready?
Thank you, Your Majesty, and welcome everyone to the North American Finals of Clash Royale League. I'm Rich Slayton. Joining me is Andrew Guy. It has been a long season, and it all comes down to this. Just a few games to be played to decide who will go to the World Finals.
Absolutely. We had TSM and Cloud9 face off in the first round, moving up into Complexity. Complexity claiming their stakes here in the finals against Immortals. Complexity was basically perfect throughout the first half of the season's. Immortals gave them their first loss. We are going to have an amazing finals today, Rich. And of course, the winner of this match today is going to go all the way to Tokyo, Japan for the World Finals with Rich and I. Those will be taking place on November 30th here in the States.
Our postseason format, a little bit different from our regular season. Rather than just 3 sets, we moved to a whole 5. We open up with 2v2, and a great one it's gonna be today, followed by not 1, not 2, but 3 potential 1v1 sets, and if we need it, we go all the way to King of the Hill, 3 up for a chance to take their squad all the way home.
And kicking off our rosters today for Complexity, most likely in that 2v2 set, we've got Colton and Razor, The Wall, Adrian Piedra, and of course, Chachi, their opponents. Also, no surprise if they'd be coming out in the 2v2 set, the God RF and Crap, Royal, their 1v1 specialist, and of course, oh yeah.
Both these squads have been so fantastic this season, giving us some breathtaking, some heart-stopping moments all the way here. And we have some of our other breathtakers standing by. Christy St. John is in the player lounge with some of our all-stars, including European champions Team Queso, to get their thoughts on today's North American final.
Thanks, guys. I am here in the player lounge with all my friends, and specifically, hey, and I've got St. Belican and Coach Eric standing by. So St. Belican, congrats on your win. Tell me, what's going to be the biggest challenge going to Tokyo?
I think that when you go to Tokyo, the biggest challenge will be if Nova makes it and also Ponos, because they're very good teams, especially in 2v2.
And getting back to today's match, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge today? I mean, I feel like we've got 2 very different teams. For NA.
I mean, for NA, I think whoever wins the 2v2, they're going to carry that momentum because most likely they're going to be playing in the first set again. So if you lose and you have to go in kind of tilted, it's going to be awful to play like that. So if you win the 2v2, I think they'll win the 1v1.
So the question is, who do you think will win the 2v2? Who do you think will take the match?
I think I'll take Complexity today just on their preparation more than anything.
And what about you?
I take Immortals.
Yeah? Why is that?
Because they're the first team to beat Complexity in 2v2.
Something to be said. So what about the room, guys? How do we feel? Immortals? Can I get a hands raised for a win for Immortals?
Me.
Me? No? Okay, hands raised for a win from Complexity?
Man, I'm disappointed.
I don't know. It seems pretty split. Even. Either way, I think it's going to be a great match. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. A pretty even split amongst our all-star pros on who they think or want to take this North American final. And a big part of the success of these two squads, of course, has been the coaching. Trainer Luis for Immortals, Matt Rutledge for Complexity. And now in the biggest spot of the season, let's listen inside the war rooms to see what these men have to say.
All right. Hey, bring it in. Bring it in. No seats yet, boys. Bring it in. Everybody here. Let's go. Bring it in. Listen up, fellas. We are so ready for this moment. You guys all know it. You don't need me to say it. You feel it right now, okay? You believe in yourself. Believe that you can win. All right? Rely on all that preparation that we've done for months, guys. Every game, every rep, everything that we've tested, we are incredibly prepared for this moment. So believe that, all right? Feel that confidence in your bones as you're walking up here, boys, okay? Let's go take this. We did not come this far to come this far, all right? We came this far to be champions. Let's go take it, guys. Let's take it. Bring it in. Let's go. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Complexity! Honestly, boys,
Build on this.
I am so positive we're gonna win today that all I'm gonna say is they play professional ball, we play backyard ball, and we do it better. Okay? That's what you guys gotta do today. You guys gotta play backyard ball against them. You two have been unstoppable in the 2v2s. Just unstoppable. And you, Royal, and all of you have been dominating to the point where you're allowed to go into a match now and feel confident in the fact that you're better than your opponents. Okay? And I really do mean that. Like, every single one of you has gotten better at the thing that was holding you back before today. Every single one of you has improved as a player and as a person, and I need you guys to go out there and be proud of yourselves for whatever happens, okay?
In my kingdom, there is an old saying, when the lava hounds are unleashed, there are those who run and those who fight. One thing I know for sure, Colton W83 and Raza never run, and the God RF and our crap always fight. This is it, guys. CRL Finals 2v2. Let the battle begin.
Quite possibly the two best duos in the world facing off in our North American final with a combined 19 wins between them in the regular season.
Absolutely. Coming out for Immortals today, as we said, the God RF and Crap are definitely Immortals 2v2 specialists playing in all but one of these 2v2 sets, 9-4 overall. Colton and Razzer, same story over here, except for they're 10-3 overall, coming in every single set except for the final one. This is going to be the greatest 2v2 showing we have seen here in NA.
Taking a look at the card bands active for all of our potential 3 games here in the 2v2 set, Tornado and Immortals taking care of Miner.
Yeah, I love the Miner ban because the Miner ban makes the Lava Hound less effective. Obviously, Lava Loon is still in play, but that Miner chipping away and tanking for those pups is a nuisance.
These 2v2 duos split the season. Immortals taking the first ever set off of Complexity, wants to do it one more here in the biggest stage. And here we go. Complexity, top of your screen. Immortals at the bottom. A 2v2 battle for the ages.
Absolutely, Rich. Not only the first 2v2 set taken from Complexity, but their very first match loss came in Week 5 to Immortals, obviously redeeming themselves in Week 7. These guys have split on the season. Now we see a Lava Hound coming out for Immortals. Will we see a Balloon?
And Royal Giant Skeleton for Complexity, but choosing to send them in opposite lanes.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So maybe they know something about this Royal Giant Skeleton combo that no one else in the league does, which wouldn't be a surprise coming from Complexity.
Fireball taking care of the Inferno Dragon. Will get 1 tick maybe, but not much there on the right-hand side. Although it is now Immortals getting a slight lead here.
Yeah, those Lava Pups getting in a few hits each there, the top half of the group.
Splitting the guards in the back.
I really like the Lightning spell in 2v2, Rich. I think it's just a great way to take out an Inferno Dragon or a Witch around the tower. Obviously, it's not going to kill it in one hit, the Inferno Dragon, but just a great way to reset it and also bring it within spell range, or at least very, very low in HP.
Complexity, you know, you want to talk about the quality of these squads in 2v2. Complexity, not only do they play very well with great teamwork and have some of those big moments, but also Colton and Razor have been very creative. Of course, when they faced off against Akrap and the God RF, the second time around, they ran a Goblin Giant Graveyard deck, ended up stealing that game in the final moments. And there was a great defensive moment where a miner almost took their tower to win in overtime, and they froze the miner just in time for their graveyard to finish and give Complexity the game win.
Yeah, that was an absolutely insane 2v2 set, Rich. I mean, like you said, the God RF and Akrap took that first set, so Colton and Razor brought out all the stops in their second meeting, and it definitely paid off.
So here we are moving into double elixir time, and so far, neither squad really breaking out to a significant lead.
Yeah, really only those lava pups in the beginning getting a decent amount of damage on that left side tower for Immortals, and then down here on the right, the Royal Giant breaking through. And now they're choosing to go same lane, which is probably the better decision. Giant Skeleton up front, that Death Bomb is going to kill that Inferno Dragon. If that Fireball didn't push it out of range, it did not. And they are very happy about that, the entire bench of Immortals.
2 shots from the Royal Giant, but still with the Lava Hound play in the left lane staying fairly even, although do have to deal with these guards. The Inferno Dragon should get a couple of ticks here.
Yep, looks like just a couple in there, as you said, Rich. Now the Lava Hound coming in for another push. Gonna have to get some quick ground responses here on the right.
Yeah, a bit of a base race here, and when you're up against a Lumberjack and a Royal Giant, that's going to be a hard one to win for Immortals.
Yeah, but great defense played by Immortals, stopping that in their tracks. However, the Lava Hound not demanding a huge response until it pops. That balloon coming in pretty late. Not a lot in the hands of Complexity, though. The Fireball is going to come in very late, but they have no elixir right now.
A beautiful pull with the cannon. Unbelievable play there. Great defense once again from Colton and Razor.
I mean, it looked as if they had absolutely no response to a balloon that was too close for comfort. That cannon coming in just at the right second was probably the best defensive play we've seen so far in this game.
We are in sudden death overtime, and now it is relevant, about a 234 hit point lead for Immortals, and they are on tower first. So it's going to be Complexity needing to make some moves. They don't do it, and Immortals takes game number 1 of our North American Finals.
I was going to say, with that lightning in hand, that tower would have been very, very easy to look at those guys all decked out in those caps. Amazing.
Those are pretty fresh there, Andrew.
I just completely stopped me in the middle of my sentence. What I was going to say, though, is that Lava Hound getting on the tower doesn't demand a huge response, which you saw Complexity kind of letting it chill, but then the balloon coming in late here, you see that Fireball pushes it just far enough away to get aggro from the cannon. An amazing defensive play there from Complexity.
And it was almost another big defensive play, just like that freeze on the miner when they last met. Complexity making some very creative moves, but they just couldn't stand up here and win this tower race. And with the spell, that's it. Tower down. Immortals takes game number 1.
Yeah, and they still had that lightning in hand, Rich. So even if that Mega Minion did not connect and it was just the Lava Hound, it would have been a tower race regardless. So a great game number 1 for Immortals.
Akrap and the God RF making their case in the opening stanza one more time, and they can win the set.
All right, let's do this.
Game number 2, and looks like Colton and Razor running back some of the same mischief, but a big shift here from the God RF and Akrap.
Yeah, same mischief, slightly different recipe, and then yeah, the Immortals are going a straight up change, which I think is a very good decision after the success of that first game. It was so close, Rich, you know, no reason to kind of try test fate again and run it back.
So far, neither squad opting to really play it safe here with that Golem beatdown meta that was so dominant for so many parts of our season.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why the two of these teams are at the very, very top, and their records definitely reflect that. It could be because they've always kind of shied away from the easiest, or they've kind of created the meta and then changed it.
Well, Colton and Razor had one match where they went up against a mortar bait, and then they beat it, and then they decided to use it themselves to win the next game.
And we actually see that a decent amount in competitive play where someone like steals their opponent's deck from the first game. It's very interesting. That giant skeleton is just inching closer and closer to the tower, does not get any death damage. Immortals very thankful of that, but he got very, very close.
Talking about Golem play, when these two squads first paired off, it was a 3-game Golem versus Golem set. And it was the God RF who really took it in the third and final game when Complexity kept playing their golem just in front of the King Tower, very close to the middle. And the God RF tornadoed it to the opposite lane, opening up that left-hand side to get the win.
Yeah, one of the greatest moments of communication and heads-up play here in 2v2. We spoke to Immortals after that game, and basically they said one of them had recognized, I believe it was God RF, recognized that he kept playing it there and had Crap play the NATO. I can't remember exactly the order of events, but yeah, Rich, one of the more exciting finishes. It looked like they were going to lose that game, and that one play changed everything.
We are now moving into double elixir time, and you know, both playing Royal Giant here, but so far it's been Colton and Razor coming out on top.
Yeah, very, very much so coming out on top with almost a 2,000 point HP lead on that right-hand tower. Complexity obviously still wants to play defense in that lane if Immortals is going to commit to it, but they aren't completely stuck there. As you see, they got to save enough elixir to play defense on the left.
The cannon does pick up the first Royal Giant, but there's a second one. And now with that rage, this could be a lot of damage in the left lane. The bats are there trying to clean it up, but that Royal Giant will get a few shots off. So now it is Immortals' turn to get a few back, but do they have enough to defend here?
I mean, they really went all in on that left-hand offense, which is what they needed to do. They needed to try and even things up. With 500 HP on that tower, you know that Complexity can essentially spell it out. And now with that hit from the Royal Giant, they 100% can. Going to throw in the fireball, going to drop a log, and that is going to do it, splitting this 2v2 set. Did you really expect anything else, Rich?
And this is what we had to expect, is these two squads going blow for blow. I expect this to be happening all day today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this could be the only one going to King of the Hill. Guys, what do you think in the back? Are we going to go to King of the Hill or not? Thumbs up, thumbs down, huh?
I'll use Colton.
they don't care.
I don't know if they can hear us back there. Maybe the hats are blocking their ears.
Yeah, maybe. But guys, Complexity really bouncing back here in that second game. Now let's see what decks they're going to bring out in the third.
Taking a look at the replay here, and this was the big finish and just not enough left, even with the cannon. You can see how low Immortals is on Elixir at this point.
Yeah, you see the perfect fireball coming in from Complexity, hitting the Mega Minion, hitting the cannon, and that Royal Giant hit was honestly just kind of cherry on top. They had enough in their spells to get through and take out that tower. Colton and Razor in control that entire game.
All even after two, now coming down to game number 3, 2v2, and you might say this is the one that decides who's the better pair, Colton and Razor or Crap and the God RF.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go, boys.
And I was going to say, Andrew, I wonder if there are going to be any major changes here, and take a look at what Complexity's got in store for their opponents.
Yeah, you see the right hand there spamming that Barb Hut. Royal Hogs in hand as well. Very, very interesting deck composition. And then you see from Immortals kind of running back the same thing, maybe feeling like they didn't get a good attempt or a good swing at the deck the last game.
Well, that Barb Hut's going to have some very interesting interactions with those Royal Giants, especially if you have the P.E.K.K.A. down at the same time.
Absolutely. So much HP on the building of the Barb Hut. And then, of course, spawning those Barbarians that are great tank stoppers.
You know, talking about creativity, this might be the 2v2 version of the OP Sam deck.
That's very interesting, and that dual lane pressure, if you can actually find a way to keep that up throughout, could be very, very frustrating to play against defensively. However, the bats from Immortals in the bottom left-hand side of your screen getting so much value.
Cannon and bats together, so a very inexpensive way to deal with. I believe that was both Royal Hog pushes. I didn't catch that exactly. But still, nice pickup there. And this Magic Archer also not getting to tower.
Yeah, and that Inferno Dragon just hanging out right there on the river. It always feels very dangerous to play your Inferno Dragon up so high because you're essentially committing your best tank stopper to be in a very vulnerable position. But a great job by Immortals there, keeping it alive and taking out that P.E.K.K.A.
You know, Andrew, looking at Colton and Razor's deck, how do you think about the chances of Immortals, RF, and Crap getting through to tower here?
I'm not sure. Now, it almost goes the same way for Complexity with so many spell responses in the hand and having cannons in the hand of Immortals. Both these teams are really in for an uphill battle. I mean, this Magic Archer could be the game changer if it just finds a moment to kind of squeak through and get a few shots in, Rich.
And there you go, a couple of shots. Now we are entering double elixir time, and still neither. Finally, we get under 2,000 on one of these towers, but we could be going all the way to the very end of overtime with these decks.
Yeah, so you see here, you get the cannon in the middle, you can drop an E-Wiz on top of all that if necessary to take out the bats, but honestly, Immortals just opts not to, playing very, very efficient defense, and that's the name of the game here in 2v2. It's all about efficiency. And this is what I'm talking about. You drop that Inferno Dragon right at the river, your opponent has the opportunity to drop the Electro Wiz right on top of it. However, again, doing a great job supporting their #1 tank killer is Immortals.
Well, it's the giant skeleton getting rid of the E-Wiz, but now we're starting to see the pace pick up here from Colton and Razor. And this was what I think might be the story. When we're talking about who can get to tower more, it feels like the speed and slight less cost, offensively speaking at least, of the Complexity deck might be the key here.
Yep, and there's those few more shots in from the Magic Archer. You get a few more of those in every 20 seconds for the next 3 minutes, and you can take that tower out. So Complexity's got to be focusing on that now, trying to chip away as best they can on either side here.
And with 3 minutes left, already down to 1383, gotta think that Immortals has to be aware that Complexity could start spell cycling a little bit earlier than you might expect.
So now you see Complexity going to split their Royal Hogs, but with the defensive capabilities that Immortals deck has, this might not be the best way to do it, although I don't really have a better answer than what they're trying right now. So they're probably going to try that. Exactly. I was going to say they're probably going to try to commit now to one lane, because they originally went all on the right, and then they went all on the left, and now they're splitting in the middle. They're kind of changing it up. They have the luxury of splitting their damage on these two towers.
Between the Barb Hut and the P.E.K.K.A, just so difficult for that Royal Giant to find any way across the river. And now there's a lot coming down the lane. Complexity starting to stack up. Magic Archer getting on tower. This could be it.
Yeah, you know, Rich, and I said it early on, and you never know if it's actually going to happen, but that Magic Archer has gotten at least 9 to 10 shots in between the two towers, if not more. That is a lot of damage coming down.
And at this point, there's no way Immortals can just play defense. They can get spell cycled out, so unless they can pull something amazing right now, they are in very, very big danger of losing this game and this set.
Now, I'm kind of surprised there that Complexity opted to fireball the Inferno Dragon and the Electro Wizard instead of the E-Wiz and the tower, looking at that minute 25 left, trying to start getting spells down on that tower. But I think they're going to try to rely on their Magic Archer play to just chip away. Not connecting quite right there, but very close.
That Magic Archer did not get a single shot on tower until there at the very end, unless that might have been the log that got that chip damage. So now with a minute left, it is Complexity still in a pretty good position at 574, but they do need to start picking up the pace to make sure they don't have some accidental draw in this situation.
They've got 2 fireballs in hand and a log on deck. Get these spells out. Play some quick defense. Get that Barb Hut down. Get these spells out, guys. You've got the game in the bag.
373 and a Royal Giant getting across the river, and the log actually knocks it closer down to 289. The Royal Giant taking a few shots here. It is not going to be enough, though. Down to 688. Lumberjack making its way. If that Lumberjack escapes and gets the tower before those Royal Hogs do,
and a High Hog
could be huge.
In the poison, Immortals is playing for their life. The Royal Giant is going to cross the river. They just need a log. Oh, it's not log range. The Royal Giant's on the tower. Immortals is going to take it. Oh my God! The fireball just in time, coupled with another spell, and Immortals, I can't believe it. They can't believe it. No one can believe it. That bullet, that cannonball from the Royal Giant was on its way to the tower. Wow.
Well, also, you look, the log went to the right. Yeah, everyone's shocked in the room back there. The log, though, that final log missed tower, that was 72 HP. Immortals missed that by a missed log.
Oh my gosh, so you see here the Magic Archer chipping away on this left-hand tower, and who would have thought that every single one of those shots would be as monumental as they were in those final seconds, Rich?
So let's look at this log here and what it's trying to do. Maybe it was going for something that I didn't see in the moment. So here we go. The Lumberjack gets through, and the log is just going to be played a little bit to the right here. And you know what? There it goes. It's trying to take care of the mini rascals. But see, it misses just by one tile. Doesn't get tower, and a 72 HP difference. That's the game.
Man.
That's the set.
That is 100% it. A missed log by Immortals costs them the entire set. Great plays. We talked about the most important 2 elixir ever spent to win a game. Rich, I believe we just saw the most important 2 elixir to lose a set.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. And look, we've said it before, we'll say it again. It is sometimes better to be lucky than good, and when you talk about luck, no one's had it in more spades than Complexity. Skill and luck both. How do you beat that? Well, Immortals will try to find out as we go into our first 1v1 set.
Clash with Ash, Chief Pat, Alvaro, and OJ. Just some of the greats on the Mount Rushmore of Clash Royale. Now, can Raza and the god RF reach such lofty heights? Well, legends are made when the lights shine brightest, like right now in the very first 1v1 finals showdown.
Just facing off in 2v2, but now no partners to rely on. Razor and the God RF going head-to-head.
Absolutely. The God RF coming out for his very first ever, technically 1v1 set. However, he has been 4-4 in King of the Hill and has had a ton of success on the ladder system here in CR. Of course, Razor, his opponent, coming out for Complexity, also never playing in a 1v1 set, but has been dominant in King of the Hill. He is 8-5 overall.
Let's take a look at the card bans for this 1v1 set. It's going to be Tornado and Balloon.
Yeah, well, we've all been done dirty by that Balloon, and the NATO is one of the most powerful cards in the game defensively, whether it is to pull units away, group them together, or activate that King Tower.
These two have met one time this season in King of the Hill. It was the God RF coming up in the final 2 seconds with a lowest tower win. And that lowest tower was so close, Andrew. It was Razor taking the lead with 2 seconds left, but a Fireball taking lowest tower by less than 50 HP for RF.
Absolutely astounding, and you know Razor isn't forgetting that. He's on top of your screen now. Tornado is his band, giving out a good luck to the God RF. Bottom of your screen, Balloon is his, and you wonder if we're going to see that interesting no-win condition deck, Rich.
Very possible. Not a lot of decks to plan for from the God RF when it comes to his CRL play, only playing 6 total head-to-head games. He played 3 Musketeers Royal Hogs twice, played Graveyard twice, and played Giant Double Prince. So this outside of what we've seen so far from the God RF.
Yeah, and there comes some Royal Hogs for the God RF. So obviously not running that deck that was so popular just a couple weeks ago.
Razor potentially showing that P.E.K.K.A. E-Wiz bridge spam, which he ran 5 times in the regular season.
Yeah, a big fan of that deck. And honestly, the P.E.K.K.A., she's just been so strong in this meta. Razor playing her a little more aggressively than most people do early on. However, he saw an opening and obviously didn't have to pay for it in damage. The P.E.K.K.A. is best utilized when used patiently.
Interesting here, Razor mostly ran that this season with Bandit, although he did run a version with Royal Ghost 1 time, although that one, instead of having the Magic Archer, had a flying machine, and it's not. It's we're seeing Royal Hogs here.
Yeah, a lot of Fireball bait aspects to that other deck you're talking about, Rich. And this one has a good amount, too. People obviously want to Fireball the Rascals, you want to Fireball the Magic Archer, and the Royal Hogs, so still making their opponents pick and choose their best defensive response. And in turn, the same thing goes for the God RF in his deck with the Fireball bait there.
So here we are entering into double elixir time, and it's Royal Hog versus Royal Hog. Neither player playing Royal Hogs very often this season.
Both these decks kind of different versions of the same thing. You know, the Royal Hogs is obviously your win condition, but you've got other really strong cards in there in the Barb Hut, in the Magic Archer, of course, the Rascals. These things all providing great amount of utilities. And all those cards can take towers on their own.
Now notice with the God RF leading off, that means we're not going to see Royal twice in the 1v1 sets, because you cannot go in back-to-back sets. And talking with trainer Luis about that, he was saying you didn't want to overplan, overprepare for a specific player to have to run too many decks. But that does give you a benefit. Even though the God RF hasn't played a ton of head-to-head this season, he also has, you can't predict his deck pool as well.
Absolutely, and right now he's having a decent amount of success with his deck, especially in that top left-hand corner, 2 barbs on the tower. And so much of this season, success of this season has come from Complexity's planning and strategizing against their opponents. You know, really wow, that cannon cart just did not stop, and the God RF takes that first game. To finish my thought, I was saying Complexity struggled the most in that Power Week when not having a ton of time to prepare for their opponents. Now, in this moment, preparing against the God RF is something that they were planning on for a while.
You know, they also, but put that in context, though, their first loss was not during Power Week. It was the week before to Immortals.
Yes, absolutely. So now here we see the beginning of kind of the fall for Razor here. He gets a great push in this left-hand lane, taking down that tower to about like 1,200 HP, I believe. And then you see the Royal Ghost come down in the left, and then he just goes hard in the right. That can cart, there's nothing there to meet it. It goes through its full 2 durations of life, just going to town on that tower. A great heads-up play, a sneaky play by the God RF.
So here we go, the God RF taking game number 1 off of Razor, who, in my opinion, has been one of the best this season between 2v2 and his heads-up play. So in this moment, needing to get 2 game wins in a row to take this set victory.
Let's go, Raz.
Yeah, Rich, and after that heartbreaking 72 HP 1 tile loss in the 2v2 set, you know that all the God RF wants is to bounce back and even things up.
Well, you got to feel good for him in this moment. It's easy after a loss like that, especially on a missed log, maybe coming in here tilting a little bit and proving he is mentally tough enough to hang with the best, even under pressure.
That's such a great point, because, you know, it wasn't like they got blown out in that first set. You're trying to bounce back. It was kind of a mental mistake, a very, very small mistake that cost them that set. And now, playing from behind.
Both players slowing way down, and Barbarian Barrel out, so first 45 seconds down, and we're finally seeing some action. God RF miners a tower, and that's got to be frustrating, throwing a miner out and then seeing a pump a half second later.
Yeah, the best way to punish a pump is to create pressure in the lane and then send in your miner late, so your opponent has to pick, do I defend my tower, do I defend against the miner? Maybe it defends against the wrong thing, and you can take that pump out. Fireball comes down, which leaves it a lane for these 3 Musketeers, and probably a Giant maybe in front of them.
3 Musketeers getting close to river, and there we go. It is the 3 Musketeers battle ram, which Razor, I don't believe he played that this season at all. He did play a lot of ram, but it was in the bridge span variation.
And if those get tanked for, wow, that is going to be brutal on that right-hand tower. The God RF knows it. A slight misplay and a heads-up play by Razor, and that was an easy tower down.
And our RF2 is going to eat this damage here and just save some elixir, but that's going to be a very deep hole to climb out of with just a minute 10 left.
I mean, you look at it, and he's actually still just a hair behind Razor in elixir. If he had defended that, he would just be kind of, there'd be no way for him to bounce back.
And a minute left, it's going to be very difficult playing Miner Balloon to get back in this, especially now that that's pumped up again.
Yeah, and you know he doesn't want to spend that fireball on that pump at this moment. He's going to have to figure out a way to take out these 2 Musketeers on the right incredibly efficiently so that he can get a big push on the left. And the reason I said Giant early on is because we've seen this version of these 3 Musketeers deck with the Hunter and the Minion Horde, 3 Musketeers that bring out so many aspects of that fireball bait. Obviously, Razor going with something a little bit more secure.
And Razor choosing to not worry so much about that left-hand tower, because look at the King Tower of the God RF down to 584. So even if Razor does somehow drop either one of his Princess Towers, he's in pretty good position for a 3-print.
Yeah, and the God RF recognizing that, now trying to go in the right-hand lane to kind of even this game up, but he's still got about 800 damage on the left. Razor taking this one with sheer dominance.
Fantastic play by Razor, mixing things up with his deck choice. Battle Ram unnecessary. We are all tied once again here between Complexity and Immortals.
You know, Rich, and you talked about in the very, very beginning, the God RF sent in his miner early on, allowing Razor to pump up, which is a very interesting thing because the pump kind of fell out of the meta for so long. People started to get more and more comfortable sending in an early miner. Not being able to punish that pump as an early play is probably the reason the God RF lost this game. You saw right here, he just did not have enough elixir, and the Razor had enough to support and send in that miner, hitting 3, the God RF just barely hitting it, and he knew all he could do at this moment was sit back, watch his tower go down, and try to recoup and create a push.
So here we are, 1 game for 1 game, Razor versus the God RF, and Razor now feeling the momentum in this position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, taking that 2v2 set, both these guys coming from the 2v2, this has been an incredibly interesting 1v1. Who is going to come out on top?
3 to 6 minutes left to decide this 1v1 set, and this would be a big spot for Razor to put his squad one step closer to Japan. Of course, with a win here, the God RF would extend this to at least 4 total sets in our North American final.
Yeah, and so far, you know, the second is the same as the first. Immortals taking that very first game and Complexity bouncing back. Is Razor going to repeat?
And that's the thing about Razor is he just comes through in big moments. You think you have him out, and he fights his way back in.
You know, and speaking to some of the higher ups here at Supercell and CRL, talking about the pressure under the lights and the pressure in King of the Hill, that is so monumental for your team. Look, we can all play pretty well in our bedrooms at the comforts of our own home, but when you get on a stage in front of all these people with this much pressure, that is when it really, really matters.
So RF dropping Barbarian Hut again here in our third game. And it's Graveyard for Razor.
Yeah, very early aggressive Graveyard with that Bar Barrel. Kind of an interesting Graveyard deck. It's kind of a mix of the old school and the new.
Well, Razor has played Graveyard 3 times this season, and 2 of those were a Bar Barrel variation, one of them looking very similar to what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, pretty good defense there played by Razor. Probably wishing he had his Bar Barrel and Cycle, but that still doing a very good job defensively with the E-Wiz and Tombstone. That cannon card is not going to get anything utility-wise out of it that the God RF was looking for.
So we haven't seen RF spells yet, although you might assume it's a Fireball to pair with those Royal Hogs. So looking at his defense against this Graveyard, Andrew, how do you see that playing out?
I mean, the most important thing for him, Rich, is figuring out a way between his Magic Archer, which I'm so glad he just dropped because I just assumed it was in his deck, the Magic Archer and the Flying Machine. He needs to figure out a way to get those units up high to take out that Tombstone to augment the pushes of his Royal Hogs. However, all the pros know, I mean, everyone knows it at this point, that a Flying Machine or Magic Archer played up high is going to pick off your defense Tombstone or Cannon. So it's going to be about taking that Tombstone out and then responding to Razor's defense.
So this time electing to go Cannon and Bar Barrel to defend against this Graveyard. So far doing pretty well. That's 2, 3, 4. Still a fair number of shots getting in. Tower down to 1571.
And a big push here on the right. Only 2 of those Hogs have been getting picked up by the late Tombstone, and a good amount of damage coming in on that right tower for the God RF. More than a good amount. Yeah, that is going to be towered down. That push just seemed to never stop. And with that and 10 seconds left, it appears the God RF has bounced back from that 72 HP loss in set number 1.
Wow, we are going to be all tied up here. Immortals Complexity for the North American Championship. The God RF showing up huge in the spotlight.
Absolutely. So whichever team comes out now has to win either 2 in a row or we're going to King of the Hill, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's hop into the replays here. The God RF and Raz, you see the bottom of the screen, that early aggressive Graveyard, not really ever paying off. Oh, excuse me, sorry, this is when there's 25 seconds left. The Graveyard was an offensive push, kind of trying to play defense, but he was left wanting here defensively. This push was kind of the push that never ever stopped. The Barbarians, the Mega Minion, the 2 Flying Machines, just so much elixir on the board.
If we can take a look at that replay one more time, because Andrew, it seemed like Razor had a full 10 elixir there, and you know, you gotta wonder if it was just a cycle issue that made it so a lot of squishy troops came down. So let's go through that sequence one more time, because this might change the entire tenor of this match.
So he's at 10 elixir right now, and I think he's probably just trying to figure out, what do I do to play defense? You see the Tombstone coming down a half a second late, then the E-Wiz. And yeah, I mean, you know, we all get to that point when we're playing a game where about 5 things happen all at once, and you realize you've got to kind of play out the order of all of those interactions going down, and Razor maybe was just kind of caught thinking, or caught looking, as they say in baseball.
Well, a big part of that, Andrew, the defensive cannon cart played against the Graveyard, got across, took out the Tombstone, got Royal Hogs on tower, and that was it. So Here we go, all tied up in sets. Another 1v1 pair on your way.
There are 7 wonders of the world. Amongst them are the Great Wall of China and the Egyptian pyramids. But what about a Finals 3 crown? Seems pretty wondrous to me. Colton W83 and Royal, show us the true nature of wonder on the battlefield.
two of the most stacked players of the season. Colton, the 2v2 specialist, up against arguably the #1 player in EU and NA in Royal.
Yeah, absolutely. Royal coming out 11-2 in 1v1 sets, 23-9 overall. And coming off a first 2-round bye, he is ready to get into action. Colton W83, really known for his 2v2 play, as you said, Rich, but a dominant victory in that last round of playoffs.
Taking a look at the ban cards for this 1v1 set, Complexity getting rid of Baby Dragon and Inferno Tower off the board for Royal.
Well, the Baby Dragon has now worked its way into so many decks, whether it's Golem Beatdown, the Graveyard deck, the Icewiz NATO Control deck, or now that Double Dragon Royal Giant deck. A great ban.
So here we are, the 2v2 specialist, the head-to-head specialist for everything Complexity versus Immortals.
Let's go,
Colton, top of your screen, Royal at the bottom, and Andrew talking about that very interesting Baby Dragon ban. If we look at Royal's deck pool, there's 6 decks total, deck archetypes, 4 primary ones, and that Baby Dragon figures huge in both his Golem and Graveyard sets. So by banning it, Colton reduces Royal's deck pool to really 2 primary and 4 overall decks.
Yeah, and in those decks, they succeed most when that Inferno Tower is off the board, maybe feeling like he can deal with the Inferno Dragon just a little bit easier. And then also very curious if we're going to see him running some sort of beatdown or giant Prince deck just because of that being off the board.
Yeah, the Inferno Tower gone does open up giant double Prince, with something that Royal ran a lot this season. Of course, Royal known for being a Golem player.
Yeah.
And with this long opening here, you very well might be looking at a beatdown deck.
And if it is Golem versus Golem, it's just going to come down to a small exchange of interactions to who comes out on top. It's really about how you support your Golem, how you play your defense, and then what happens, what crosses the river, and as healthy as those units are in deciding the game.
While Royal did lean pretty heavily on a few main decks, he played Royal Giant 3 times this season. One of those times was against Colton in King of the Hill when he beat him Royal Giant Furnace against Lavaloon.
And these guys are just holding tight. About 30 seconds left till double elixir.
You know, Colton didn't play a lot of head-to-head play this season, only going there about 10 times. But most of those were not beat-down decks, played Golem twice. There was a lot of Graveyard for the Complexity player.
And I think the lack of experience in head-to-head play, not overall in his career in Clash, but just here at CRL was the reason why you saw him celebrate so emphatically in that last big win. Obviously making it to the finals, a huge moment for his team, but also re-establishing himself, as one of the best head-to-head players in the game. It's gotta feel good.
So the Barb Hut really has become sort of the mainstay, it seems, here in our finals, appearing so many times between our last 2 competitors, RF and Razor, and here once more in the hands of Colton.
And that cannon cart getting cleaned up by that Tombstone, doing just enough. A great response here, and when we saw that Miner along with the first 3 cards he played in the Flying Machine, Mega Minion, and Zap, you knew we were going to see a Lava Hell.
And Royal did not play Lava Miner at all this season. He did play a little bit of Miner, but in that case, it was Giant Miner Poison.
And that's one of the reasons why he is one of the best in the world and one of the most threatening. That Inferno Dragon is going to sizzle that tower down. 77 HP. You saw that Barb Hut trying to come down and distract it, but not going to be enough. A Miner, a Zap, or a Fireball. I was going to say a Miner and a Zap coming in are going to do it, but the Fireball does it even easier. And Royal takes game number 1 without breaking a sweat.
And you see Colton in this window there shaking his head when he realized what happened. Just a tough moment not taking care of that Inferno Dragon. And this is down within regulation time. Let's take a look at the replay here from this opening action.
Yeah, you see here, 30 seconds left in regulation. That Miner comes in behind the Magic Archer. You see the Barb Barrel come down, not going to be enough. And those pups going to town on the tower, obviously not an insane amount of damage, but it's about this Inferno Dragon right here. And the Mega Minion tanking for it gets on top of tower, sizzling away. And we all know the feeling of when an Inferno Dragon starts to heat up on our tower, Rich.
So deck pool was one of the potential concerns about Royal coming into this final, and here he goes adding a 7th to the mix.
Yeah.
So you think you've planned for him, you think you've boxed him in, he jukes, and here we are, game number 1 for Immortals in this set.
Let's go, Colton.
game number 2, and this would be a big win here for Royal and Immortals, putting them just one set away from the World Finals.
Absolutely, Rich. We are basically at one game in Immortals' favor right now, being those first 2 sets being in a tie. 0-0, as we call it in the sports now, with just 1 up here for Immortals.
So Bar Barrel does demand a response, not getting on tower. Mega Minion comes out. Royal now with the flying machine.
Very curious to see. Yeah, I was going to say, if an elixir pump is going to come out, you know, a lot of the same as we saw earlier.
Flying machine on tower, so that's some significant damage eaten early by Colton here in the first minute. And we're looking at, it's going to be that Ram 3 Musketeers variation.
Yes, sir. And he's going all in right now, and he did not want to run into a Golem, overcommitting just a little bit. However, that Night Witch does get taken out. This is actually going to pay off great for Colton. I thought that Night Witch might stop what was on the ground there and support with the bats, but not the case. Royal taking a ton of damage. So again, these games and sets have just gone back and forth, Rich.
And not picking up the miner, so now we're going to get down to around 600 HP on that left-hand tower. And the big moment here for Colton has to be having that minion horde. The pump takes the fireball bait and basically opens the board up for minion horde to be the response to that golem.
I mean, so much elixir went down on that push. Colton managing to keep it alive long enough to get a ton of utility out of it, taking out the golem, getting a lot of damage on that tower. Very similar to Royal's start in game number 1.
And forced to play the Night Witch, deciding not to let that tower go down on the left-hand side. So as we enter double elixir time with the pump and 3 Musketeers down, Colton in a very good position.
Absolutely. Now Royal is going to have to opt to create the biggest golem push in the history of his career at CRL here, because that right-hand tower is going to go down.
Left-hand tower down, right-hand tower, he does pick that up with the fireball. So right-hand tower will survive for now. The big question is, how close will this golem get to tower?
I don't know if I was expecting that fireball in, but he did need to keep it alive. He can't just lose both towers and only take 1. And now we've got a big push here coming in, and that zap is going to be huge, stunning them with the bandit dash. And now we've got about 10 elixir on the field for Royal. Very, very healthy.
And Royal's going to take that left-hand tower, and now, even if that tower of his on the left-hand side does fall, which there's no big spell in Colton's hand, so if he can pick up here, this might be the ability, could possibly, yes, it's going to be, Royal does take it, that's going to be it, unbelievable defense, the Golem Master does it one more time.
And walking straight down the tunnel is Royal. That is exactly what Lava Loon decks and Golem beatdown decks do, is you get punished in the, let's say, the first half of the game while you're in that single elixir, and you bounce back when you go into double. And this was the push right here. You saw the miner coming in, pulling away the lumberjack, but you've got 5 other units there dealing tons of damage coming in, and those 3 musketeers, that 9 elixir getting cleaned up that quickly. The hunter comes down late. There is nothing left in Colton's hand to deal with this. And as you said, Rich, he still has 131 damage and no big spell to take out that left-hand tower. Royal recognizes that, plays heads-up defense, throws out a little bit of BM, and takes that set.
Look at that beautiful pickup from Roy on the left-hand side, Night Witch to take up the Barbarian Barrel, and then the Bandit picking up the Miner front and back covered. And there you go. People criticize him for being a Golem player, said, you play Golem. Trainer Luis said online, well, then plan against us.
Yeah.
Then you go ahead and see what we're going to do. And there you have it. Royal plays his favorite, the Golem, comes out on top, and now they're just one set away from going to the World Finals.
On Insta, on Twitter, and on YouTube, greatness is measured in followers and views. Out here on the battlefield, though, those don't mean squat. Adrian Piedra and Crap measure greatness in towers dropped and crowns won. And championships. That's hashtag real greatness. Hashtag set 4 begins now.
Immortals with a set in hand and a chance to take the North American Championship Complexity needs a win here to send it to King of the Hill.
Absolutely. Crap coming out for Immortals is 0-1 overall in 1v1 sets and 0-2 in King of the Hill. Maybe not the strongest head-to-head player here at CRL, but in a great position to establish himself before going to World Finals. Adrian Piedra coming out for Complexity, one of the few players to play in every single 1v1 set, 8-6 overall, coming to bring this game to King of the Hill, hopefully for Complexity.
Let's look at the ban cards for our new 1v1 set here between Crap and, of course, Adrian Piedra, and it's Inferno Dragon and Lava Hound.
Yeah, despite Adrian not playing Lava Hound or Lava Loon a ton here at CRL, he's played it a couple times. You know, maybe it's just that Crap hates to play against Lava Loon.
I mean, he'd have a friend in me then, so no Lava Loon this time around. The 4th set of our match coming your way.
Almost, Adrian.
So it's Adrian Piedra, top of your screen, Crap at the bottom, and with all the deck conversation today, Andrew, Adrian Piedra, one of the deepest deck pools of the season. He's run 9 primary decks, 11 different deck archetypes total.
Unbelievable. The talent behind, you know, talking to Tommy, one of the players here in NA as well, was saying, I learned every meta, every archetype so that I could not be gamed against, strategized against, and maybe that's a little bit of Adrian's plan here as well. And this is an elimination set for Complexity. They must win this set if they want to go to King of the Hill and have a chance at World Finals.
Well, Adrian Piedra feels very comfortable with the pressure on, and he's done very well in some of the biggest moments this season.
Yeah, you see that. I was just going to say, you got to guarantee to see a tombstone coming out here for Adrian. And if he doesn't have a NATO in his deck, I would be so shocked. And I really like the Magic Archer play up high to take out the Baby Dragon and in turn help support the Graveyard. The Magic Archer is a wonderful support or defender against the Graveyard, being able to be played so far away, getting away from the fireballs and the poisons that your opponent might want to throw on to support their Graveyard.
So Crap mixing it up here a little bit in this first game. Last time that Adrian Piedra and AC met, it was in King of the Hill. And Adrian won that pretty easily, running minor Mega Knight Poison, while Crap went super meta with the 2.6 Hog Rider.
Yeah, and Crap is going to have a really hard time breaking through here. Again, having to use the Magic Archer or the Flying Machine to clean up that Tombstone, but then even still having to double down in the lane, ideally, because that Battle Ram is going to have a really hard time ever making it tower with NATO in hand. He needs the Flying Machine and the Royal Ghost to connect, and obviously chip damage with that Magic Archer.
Adrian Piedra has played this deck specifically a lot this season. Graveyard, overall 5 times this particular construction, 3 times, and he loves that Graveyard Cannon Cart combination as well.
Yeah, such a powerful combination, that Cannon Cart. Definitely has some legs on it, being able to get across that river very quickly in the range, making it deadly. So much utility from the Cannon Cart. You know, one of those cards that when it first came out, along with the Flying Machine, kind of forgotten about or pushed to the wayside, and then over the last few months have really worked their way into everyone's main metas.
Well, even before it got a little bit of love, you saw it doing some, showing up in some big moments. Of course, there was Sergio Ramos against Music Master in that finals match, and Sergio Ramos making great use of Cannon Cart in that.
And so here you see Adrian recognizing what's going to happen here. The worst thing that can happen is Crap is able to pile up a bunch of units here and somehow break through. But as long as Crap is kind of filtering units down the lane 2 or 3 at a time, it's something that Adrian can easily manage. However, Crap is able to get like a 10 or 12 elixir push coming across that river. That would be the moment for him to shine. But that deck of Adrian's has so many defensive capabilities. He hasn't even had to use the NATO yet.
We are in sudden death overtime, and a slight lead for Adrian Piedra, but no one's really broken through, and finally a few Magic Archer hits. Those are big for Crap.
Well, here's the other thing, Rich, is that Royal Ghost does a little bit of splash damage. You've got the Magic Archer from far away to shoot at that Graveyard, and then of course the Barb Barrel comes in after the first couple seconds to clean up any skellies that have been piling up. A lot of responses as well for Crap.
That's a great poison there for Adrian.
Yeah, and I was going to say the thing, though, is that Adrian hasn't found an opportunity to get the poison on the tower as much as he'd like.
because he's having to work against these big pushes behind that P.E.K.K.A.
Exactly, yeah, and Akrap is recognizing that, and he continues to play his units up high, as you see. Very, very hard to get spell value on that, and a very nice E-Wiz to come in and defend that Magic Archer to take out the Tombstone as well. Great plays there from Akrap.
Akrap playing out of his mind right now. Fantastic defense in a very, very tough spot. You know, Graveyard is such a frustrating deck to defend against, especially this specific construction that has become so popular. I believe it is still the #1 most used deck in Grand Challenges.
I mean, it makes sense, Rich. I mean, the minor control version is a much, much higher skill cap, whereas this version, you really just got to play good enough defense to where you get a slight counter push, and then you throw down a Graveyard, and it's pretty easy to win, whereas that minor control, you have to play at a much higher level throughout. Not saying, obviously, that Adrian isn't a high skill cap player, but you put a lower skill cap deck in someone's hands like Adrian Piedra, and it's horrifying.
King Tower activation, and while we are in the final minute of overtime, that should at least give some defensive hope here for Adrian, although it's looking more and more like we're in a draw situation, unless, of course, as we've mentioned so many times this season, a Graveyard can steal this thing in the final seconds.
Yeah, I would be absolutely shocked if Adrian were to take this game in the final 42 seconds of this, and in turn the same thing for Akrap. I can't see really either of these guys breaking through in about 35. You know, just so many defensive capabilities from both decks, and that P.E.K.K.A. by Akrap, I mean, Akrap hasn't even used all 8 of his cards, Rich.
And that was a big heads-up play to stop that cannon card. If that cannon card got tower, that might have been the end here, but looks like we are going to play to a clean draw unless something crazy happens in the final 15 seconds, but I doubt either one takes a big risk, so very, very well played, not just for Adrian Piedra, but for Akrap, who barely played head-to-head at all this season, getting his first game win or game draw in head-to-head play.
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. And that was a very, very interesting draw from these guys. Really curious that last spell from Akrap was a Fireball, since he had definite opportunities to use a Poison, but the Fireball would have been a bit of an overcommittal throughout. So as we see here, I mean, obviously we did have a draw, but it's really all about the defense from both of these guys. The high poisons from Adrian and the meetings at the river with the P.E.K.K.A. to Adrian's cannon cart or whatever troops he wants to get that Graveyard tanked for. Both these guys just playing out of their minds.
Really, really fantastic. And Akrap, again, so much less experience in head-to-head play this season. Adrian Piedra with 45 total games in head-to-head play, so he's definitely gotten loose. So kudos to Akrap for standing up to him in this big moment.
Absolutely. Let's get into our next 1v1 game.
Let's go, Adrian.
So a fascinating draw, and we'll talk about the implications of that after we get through this game. First, one more to play. And another draw here would make things really interesting.
I mean, this is #1 and #2, Rich. I did not expect anything else from these two teams. Akrap here looking to send Complexity home, and their team across the pond, I guess the other way, excuse me, across the Pacific. And then Adrian here really wanting to take this to King of the Hill.
So it looks like both players making some changes, and there you go. You see that Royal Ghost get to tower, and you have to think there's a tornado coming soon.
Absolutely, and then seeing the Rascals and the Ghost. Had this been maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we would have guessed maybe Rascals, or even a game ago when I thought it could be Rascals. Seeing the Ghost, or I mean, excuse me, Logbait, when you see the Rascals and the Royal Ghost paired together, but obviously the Royal Hogs being a stronger win condition in this meta.
And it is AC with a slight lead in the left-hand lane, but now has to deal with this Royal Ghost E-Wiz push, cannon cart in the middle to pull.
And so Akrap probably running the Graveyard variation of this, since we haven't seen a minor yet, knowing that I truly believe that the Graveyard version is a little bit stronger here at CRL.
Well, Adrian Piedra with the Royal Hogs, you know, talking about the ban cards here, and we guessed that maybe the Lava Hound ban is because Akrap hates playing against Lava Loon. But if you're trying to reduce deck pool here, 14 of the 45 games that Adrian played this season featured the Royal Hogs.
So are you saying that he was he should have maybe gamed against the Royal Hogs instead.
Definitely one of those cards that you have to expect from Adrian Piedra, how much he's leaned on it this season. And again, so the ban I don't think was really, I think might have been more about Crap than it was about Adrian. So you look at him not playing Lava Hound very often, but the Royal Hogs, a major part. You know, I mean, at this point, at 14 games out of 45, we're looking at 20%, over 20% of his deck pool.
Yeah, you know, and maybe Crap was expecting that, and so running this deck, having so many great responses to the Royal Hogs in all the splash damage of the Baby Dragon, the Ice Wizard, bringing them together with the Tombstone, the NATO, the Barb Barrel, he saw that he could counter Royal Hogs very easily and in turn create a great counter push because Royal Hogs aren't going to do any damage to your units.
So Rascal's picking up a lot of that graveyard. A couple of hits will get from those skeletons, though, and now down to under 1,500. So that was a big-time push here for Crap.
Yeah, and the fireball from Adrian puts him back in the damage lead. However, you got to imagine Crap is going to try to create a graveyard push right here and then in turn use his NATO to group up all the units on top. And that Magic Archer is still just barely in that poison. And you know Adrian was expecting the graveyard, so he goes high P.E.K.K.A.
So that Barb Barrel taking out the Rascal Girls rather than the Magic Archer and maybe requiring a little extra to be spent there with that poison.
Oh yeah, and this is what, you know, Rich, this is what you're talking about, and I think Immortals saw the same thing. Adrian loves those Royal Hogs. This deck is kind of its kryptonite. Although 1,300 HP left on that bottom right tower, you'd think Crap could maybe defend just a hair bit better.
Now down to around 1,000, that right-hand tower, so Crap playing very, very well here. We are a little bit, almost a minute into our sudden death overtime, and now with that poison taking out the Magic Archer and getting down to 832, Crap in a really great position.
Absolutely. I mean, almost at this point, because Adrian doesn't have poison, you can almost naked graveyard that tower and commit all your elixir to the right. However, that cannon cart is supplying just enough utility to where he felt comfortable enough to go in on that left-hand tower one more time, knowing that that was just a little bit of help for his Ice Wiz in the bottom right.
Barb Barrel this time on the Magic Archer. And now it's going to be the Baby Dragon probably cleaning up, not getting on the girls, getting picked up by the boy here.
832 on that tower, 827 in the bottom right, a very, very close game. But you see, if Crap keeps having his cannon carts die right there, he's now got two things to pull in those Royal Hogs. And that's probably what he keeps going for. As you see, now we've basically got a Tombstone on the field. Now the Ice Wizards come down. If the Royal Hogs do come down, he can play another Tombstone with 147 on that tower. A great defensive play from Crap.
That Baby Dragon will be the seal, just has to get a poison down, and Crap will win this game. So huge moment here for the young man playing on behalf of Immortals. He needs to get that poison down, though. These Royal Hogs are making a beeline for the tower. We're getting pulled back a little bit, and that is fantastic defense.
You and I both kind of panicking for Crap, him keeping his cool, knowing, yo, I got 45 seconds to play a poison, boys. Calm down, let me play some defense, and he does that very, very well. So a long 6-minute draw in game number 1, and Immortals coming out on top in game number 2.
The gallery back there, keeping a close eye, also maybe trying to get their Electro Dragon at the exact same time. So this is a big moment, and take a look here. It gets so close, the graveyard taking this tower way down, but Crap had to play pretty much picture-perfect defense to avoid losing this in the final seconds.
Absolutely, and bringing that cannon cart in, as you saw here, I mean, the Baby Drag cleans this up with the NATO. It's the first time in about 5 or 6 drops of that cannon cart you saw it go down that left-hand lane, and that was one of my favorite things that Crap did in this game, Rich, was he kind of recognized what was going on, and he recognized that if he just kept playing only the cannon cart in the right-hand lane, it would defend and die, and then make those Royal Hogs kind of useless.
Crap has been so great at 2v2, taking some flack for his head-to-head play this season, but a win right now will erase all of that and send his squad to the World Finals. A crazy game number 3 on its way, and let's just set the stage here for a moment. Because of that opening draw, if Crap wins here, that's it, we're done. But Adrian Piedra could play for a win, or opt to play for a draw, both of which would send us to a 4th game in this set.
Yeah, and that 4th game would, of course, be a lowest tower situation. So Crap trying to take his team to Tokyo. Right now, Adrian looking to keep Complexity alive.
And Crap can kind of sell out here rather than play conservatively, because a loss and a draw are the exact same thing. So if we get into sudden death overtime, I'm wondering if we're going to see Crap really start pushing the action.
Absolutely. I mean, we call that playing with the house's money in Vegas. Nothing to lose, so go all out. And as you see here, a 9 elixir in the right-hand lane with that battle ram and that minion horde. A lot of damage coming in with the connection.
Wow, so just barely over a minute down and over 1,000 damage in the right-hand lane for Crap.
And that Royal Ghost being played up high is going to keep that Magic Archer off the tower.
And the Hunter deep in there as well, so 2 nice plays to keep that Magic Archer from doing too much. The Barb Barrel just a little high and a little late, allows a couple shots through.
Absolutely, so about a 600 damage lead here for Crap. Adrian, though, hanging close.
And Adrian not choosing a super conservative deck construction here.
And so Adrian feels very comfortable in playing his P.E.K.K.A. in the back because that Battle Ram is out of play, and that is one of those things that you can get punished for immediately. 3 Musketeers is going to be very interesting coming up against this.
Adrian hasn't played a lot of Battle Ram this season. I think only 2 appearances for that card for him so far. But right now, looks like it's going to work out pretty well.
And I believe that Battle Ram was supposed to kite from Crap, and he has got to be so upset right now. Near perfect play throughout this set, and that Battle Ram not pulling the P.E.K.K.A., the Musketeer pulling it instead means tower down for Crap.
And that's a nice miner in the middle to get the attention away from that Magic Archer. He's still going to get to that push, though, and take out a lot of that minion horde. So while it's a good idea, doesn't pay off all the way, and it looks like Adrian Piedra in a very good position to win this game.
Yeah, I did a little fist pump over here because that is one of my absolute favorite interactions in the game, is when you send in a predictive miner to pick up your opponent's troop that is essentially going to take out your minion horde. However, Adrian playing great heads-up defense, stayed in the moment and kept his tower very, very healthy, supported that Magic Archer, and that is going to bring us to game 4, Rich.
And just unbelievable. 1 missed Battle Ram pool is all that it takes. Adrian Piedra dropping his hands, wiping it off, not settling for the draw, taking the win, and we are going to game number 4.
Yeah, that's much different than missing a pull on a Lumberjack or even a mini P.E.K.K.A. He missed a big Mama P.E.K.K.A. with that Battle Ram. Obviously, the Musketeer just stepping a little bit closer into range than he had expected, and Adrian Piedra bouncing back here in game 3.
And taking a look, I think, at that missed pull here, and here we go, Andrew. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, so you see the P.E.K.K.A. there. You saw it, right? She's like, that looks like a tasty battle. Wait a minute, there's the Musketeer. Straight to tower, Battle Ram connects, both the barbs getting tanked for, and that is a nightmare for us in CR. Any missed kite, when you've allocated all your elixir to the opposite lane, always means tower down.
And that's the frustration of that Battle Ram just being a little bit too quick in this situation. Musketeer pulls, so now here we are going to game number 4. Lowest single tower wins. A chance for Immortals to close it out. Complexity looking to send this to King of the Hill. How else could it go down, Andrew? Game number 4 in this 1v1 set.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't go to King of the Hill, this has brought all of the entertainment I could ever possibly have dreamt of, but now Crap again in a position to send Complexity on their way, and Complexity 1 game away from keeping their run alive and going to King of the Hill. And Richie, talk about the experience of these players, and you look at their energy at the stands.
Yeah, both players taking very, very big breaths here in this moment. Of course, Adrian has been here time and time again this season. Crap playing very well, but certainly feeling it a bit, having not appeared in head-to-head play very often at all.
Yeah, and one of the things I admire most about Adrian is, despite him being such an emotional player, he's 8-6 in those 1v1 sets, Rich. So that means he's bounced back from 6 set losses, and his team has never given up on him. You can't imagine the confidence that builds in an athlete when you know your organization is 100% behind you, no matter what.
Talk about confidence. A few moments ago, Adrian Piedra played a beautiful log to bump the battle ram off of its beeline it was making for the tower. It didn't get picked up by that tombstone. So fantastic defensive play by Adrian Piedra in a very big spot.
Yeah, definitely. And he's obviously had to allocate a little bit more elixir than he'd like to, but he needed to defend as best he could. And now in a great position to send in those Royal Hogs completely unsupported.
And that Magic Archer goes opposite direction, still able to interact with that giant range, but that poison taking out a flying machine and an E-Wiz, so great value for Adrian Piedra. We are 15 seconds away from double elixir time.
Yeah, that is a ton of damage on that tower ridge. Those Hogs just kind of went to town on it.
Hold up.
So there we go, Akrap playing the P.E.K.K.A. and taking a look at what he's up against. You got to imagine that P.E.K.K.A. There's a reason why we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and I was just going to say he needs to get something off in front of that Magic Archer or else it is going to just take out that tower at 96 damage a shot and how slow that Mama P.E.K.K.A. moves. He needed to support it.
So 2 challenges for Akrap in this situation. The P.E.K.K.A., of course, making being a kind of a challenging response to a Royal Hog deck, but then also having no building to pull the Royal Hogs. And there you go, the tombstone for Adrian Piedra is going to be in the way of that battle ram consistently.
Wow, really, really well played by Adrian, kind of recognizing the order of operations of all of those things. I don't know if his tombstone was in hand or not that whole time, but recognizing when to play it, knowing that it was just for the Royal Hogs. I mean, Rich, that's the discipline that this game requires, right? When your opponent knows, for instance, that they're playing Hog Rider and you're playing P.E.K.K.A., their goal the whole game is to get your P.E.K.K.A. out of cycle in the opposite lane so they can play a Hog Rider. So Adrian knowing what the best response is to Akrap's win condition, saving that tombstone.
And on the last sequence before this one here on Adrian's side, it was another great play with that log defensively. So he's playing perfectly pretty much on both sides of the board, and this push on the right-hand side will probably be game over.
Absolutely. So Adrian Piedra taking it. I mean, what better way to close out our regular season than a King of the Hill set, Rich?
This is it. This is the first season of CRL North America, and we are going all the way to the 5th and final set. And between these two squads who've been so close all season, this felt like it had to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, battling back and forth, as you said, the entire season, Complexity taking it from Immortals, Immortals taking it back from Complexity, and you see here all that damage coming in for Adrian, just puts him in a great position. Honestly, it was that very first push that put him in kind of a luxury position the whole time to kind of sit back, play defense. 451 on that tower, 4 Hogs in. Akrap going all in on the left lane, knowing that's his only way to stay in the game. And we're going to King of the Hill.
And the way that Adrian defended there again was also so fantastic. So really, really excellent play here in this 1v1 set. And now you see 2v2 for Complexity, 2 in a row for Immortals, and the final one going back to Complexity again. So there you have it. We will be going to King of the Hill. But first, we're going to head back to our player lounge where some of our all-stars have been watching the action. Christy St. John, what do they have to say about this fantastic finals match?
Thanks, guys. So I'm back here in the player lounge with Sam and Morten. Tell me, of these two teams, an exciting match, who do you think is handling the pressure better?
Do you want to start?
Sure. I personally think Immortals because they had more time to prepare. And yes.
Yeah, I think in general, Immortals is stronger in 1v1, so I think they will win King of the Hill.
Do you think that they're going to win King of the Hill as well?
Yes, I think Royal is going to sweep.
Well, talking of Royal, I think the biggest reaction here, besides that right there from your coach, it has been when Royal didn't shake Colton's hand. What were you thinking when that happened?
That was crazy, absolute savage. I love him for that.
You love him for that. Tell me more.
Like, Colton is like, you know, he's like shouted in my face, and it's like, it really feels sad for me, and I was like, thought he would eat me or something. And that he did that is like revenge.
And what about you?
Yeah, I think the same.
So opening it up to the room, can we get another show of hands? Who thinks that Immortals is going to take King of the Hill? And who thinks that Complexity is going to take King of the Hill?
Nice.
Ooh, looks like the tables have turned. The room is no more divided. I mean, we'll see. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. So the consensus in the player lounge from our all-stars, they believe Immortals in the big spot here. So we will see what happens. It's time for King of the Hill. Each squad nominates 3 players. Each player gets just 1 life, 1 opportunity to help send their squad to the World Finals. So in the biggest moment of the season, let's take a look inside the war rooms as these squads prepare to go to battle.
Relax. That's it. I don't want to say anything more. I don't need to like tell you like pretty words to encourage you. You guys know that you guys have been playing incredible. You just played phenomenal, out of your mind. Yeah. Just the same game you've always been playing. And you've been doing this for 13 sets, and you're just consistently beating everybody. So just go out there and do what you've been doing. And say, on RF, you've played flawlessly today.
Thank you.
Like you're playing flawlessly, and you're used to you both are used to the pressure of #1 for ladder, and like ladder might be irrelevant. People think blah 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 blah, but it's you guys have that pressure in the world against the top players in the world with their best decks, and you guys consistently beat them. And if you lose today, it doesn't change the fact that you killed it in the 1v1 and the 2v2. Doesn't change the fact that you guys took a season and started 0-2 and proved everybody wrong and got to first place. Nothing changes today. Okay, and Daniel. People don't, like some people know you, but people don't know you. This is your chance to make a name for yourself, and even if you don't, you have season 2. So just know that go out there and you have absolutely nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose, and you have everything to gain. You got this, dude. And no matter what happens today, we're gonna have a great season 2, okay? Let's do this, boys.
Hey, let's do this, boys. We are in our set. We're in our set, in our element. Let's close this out, boys. Let's go. All right. We got a big King of the Hill coming up. We got Colton going first.
Yep. Woo!
Raz.
Crack.
And our anchor buddy. Oh, you're playing out of your mind, dude. Puppy. Out of your mind. Wow. All right, that's it. That's it. You guys know what to do. Let's go execute, boys.
Let's go to Japan, boys.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Complexity!
Immortals and complexity. This is it. It doesn't get much bigger. The CRL Finals, King of the Hill. Win and the glory is yours, along with a nice trip to the World Finals in Tokyo. Lose and ease your pain with ice cream and Netflix. Gentlemen, your moment is now.
Here we are, King of the Hill. What a great way to end our North American final. The swing match, these two have met before in King of the Hill twice, splitting the season.
Absolutely. Coming out for Immortals in this final King of the Hill, we've got the God RF leading things off. Oh yeah, in that center spot, 1 and 2 in King of the Hill. And then, of course, Royal, the 1v1 head-to-head specialist for Immortals, closing things out, their opponents, Colton, Razor, and Adrian in that order, all business in the war room.
You heard Matt Rutledge saying this is our set. They certainly believe that. There is one set of card bans for this entire potential 5-game King of the Hill set. Lava Hound for Immortals and Complexity getting rid of Royal Ghost.
So it must just be something about the Lava Hound that Immortals matchup does not favor. And then the Royal Ghost has been talked about a lot in the community. It needs a nerf, people are saying.
So here we go. There is no coming back, no revisiting. King of the Hill, the North American Finals.
Let's go, Colton.
And just to remind everyone at home, in the regular season, the God RF is 4 and 4 in King of the Hill. Colton in the regular season, 4 and 8.
And these two split their King of the Hill appearances this season. First time out, it was the God RF beating Colton, and then Colton getting one back when they met again. So this is the swing match between these two lead-off hitters.
Absolutely. We immediately see a Tombstone coming out. Nice passive card to start off the game. And Colton here, very interesting.
Yeah, Colton played 3 Musketeers in both of these meetings beforehand. This one looking a little bit more like Golem.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because when you see the Mega Minion and the guards a lot, we've seen those in Lava Miner decks, Lava Loon decks, but obviously with that Lava Hound being banned. Wow, and an early Lightning.
So, Royal Giant for the God RF.
Must have just seen something there in his cycle, knowing that Lightning was probably the most efficient way to clean those units up, trying to maintain an Elixir advantage so that he could obviously get to Golem up at his first opportunity. However, right now, he's going to be spending all of his Elixir on defense.
So very interesting deck relationship between these two right now, the Royal Giant versus a more traditional beatdown deck, and that Baby Dragon very healthy, getting picked up by the Inferno Dragon.
Yeah, and the God RF there opting to just cycle his Barb Barrel in the left-hand lane, obviously not wanting to use his Tombstone, recognizing that Colton is playing the Golem. None of those other cards very cheap to just cycle through. The Barb Barrel, the best idea. Option.
So that Inferno Dragon doing a good job on that Golem with the Tombstone. Not going to get much on tower here. And the Ice Wiz Tombstone combination here against the beatdown deck can be so frustrating.
Absolutely, and you got to think those last two cards are probably a poison and obviously the NATO there. So that Night Witch is going to have a really hard time. However, getting to the tower right now is that said Night Witch, getting 3 hits in with that. Is it an axe? Is that what it is?
For the Night Witch, you know, a halberd?
There
maybe?
we go. Perfect. That was my next guess.
And Royal Giant gets on tower. That's
Wow.
one shot. Going to be at least 2. So down to 808 with 30 seconds left. And right now, Colton very, very low on Elixir. So not really, I guess maybe he'll be goleming up here. No, going for the Baby Dragon, opting to play defense. So we might see a Golem here in a few moments. Needs to make some big moves as we go into sudden death overtime.
And I did say poison, but it's actually probably the lightning, because it is a Royal Giant deck.
No, not a halberd.
Fireball, okay.
Sorry, I was answering the question of whether or not that's an axe or a halberd, and you're saying it's a fireball. Yes, absolutely.
yes, something that you and I probably have a bit better of a grasp on. And these guys moving into overtime now. 800 HP on that top right tower for Colton, and that is going to do it.
Tornado! Oh my
God
God!
RF. Maybe we just call him the NATO specialist. We've seen it time and time again. And look at that. He is proud of himself. I would be too. Such a great NATO backwards to pull that Golem out of range. A really great play there by Colton, expecting to get a Golem pushed down. But the God RF doing what he does, NATOing those Golems away.
That is the second time he's changed a game with a NATO on Golem. Of course, the first time when Immortals beat Complexity in 2v2. And here we have it. It looks like the Golem picks up the cannon cart perfectly with the log placement, but NATO clears the path out. That's GG's, and now the God RF taking down Colton in the opening game of King of the Hill.
A great log by Colton, and a great Golem there trying to preserve the HP of his tower and create probably what was going to be a game-winning push. However, the God RF a bit more heads up. Great game 1.
Up next for Immortals, the King Killer. Razor steps in the arena one more time.
Let's go, Raz. Game number 2, Rich, here just to remind the people at home, Razor in King of the Hill is 8-5. A very, very strong player. He's had big moments in King of the Hill.
I mean, Razor has been one of the best. 2v2, of course, has been a specialty, but those big sweeps against Tribe and against Cloud9 early on in the season kind of set the tone for this squad. Of course, these two met once during the regular season in King of the Hill, and it was the God RF coming out on top in the final 2 seconds.
Unbelievable how many close calls we've had here in the inaugural season of CRL.
Beautiful fireball value there for the Immortals representative.
Absolutely. Now both of these cards with negligible health. However, I was going to say, is this going to be an Expo deck with the Mega Minion, the Ice Golem, and the Ice Wizard? It looks like that popular new Expo deck that's kind of made its way into the meta. Probably making you a little bit happy there, Rich.
This is really exciting. Expo here in the North American Finals. Not what you might expect. And getting picked up for a while, and there we go. The Royal Hogs, a huge play. Fireball cleans them most of the way out, but good defense. A few chip damage hits, though, from that Expo. Razor out to a lead.
Yeah, really, really well played there by Razor, holding the Fireball in hand to deal with those Royal Hogs. And really nice use of the Barb Hut and the Barbarians by the God RF. They're sending the Royal Hogs in at the very last second. Still, however, not breaking through.
So waiting until very late, both of these players, the God RF, getting that Magic Archer down and back, opting not to put anything heavy on the ground quite yet, probably waiting for that Expo drop. not quite getting tower with that magic archer shot.
And this is like a slight rendition on that no win condition deck. Maybe swapping out the cannon cart for the Royal Hogs, depending on what that 8th card is. But, you know, very interesting taking a deck that had a lot of really strong utility cards with no true win condition and throwing in a very, very strong win condition.
Expo cycling into defense will take care of that Barbarian Hut, but the Fireball also helping clear it out of the way a little bit. Expo had a 2% use rate in head-to-head play here in CRL, only a 36% win rate, but so far Razor playing it pretty expertly.
And so many times of those, when we've seen the Expo prevail, has to do with getting a defensive Expo down first, kind of taking control of the game, and then throwing up your offensive one, as we saw Razor do there. However, a lot for him to deal with right now.
Flying Machine will probably get on tower. Yes, it does. So that's a big moment here for the God RF, pretty much evening things up as we go into sudden death overtime.
And the luxury that Razor has right now, Rich, is that he can play this defensive Expo to take out the Barbarian Hut. So it's not just a defensive Expo to set up the offensive one. It's actually a +1 elixir trade by taking out the Barb Hut, and it stays alive, still dealing damage to other troops that your opponent has on the ground.
But there's the response from the God RF, opting to decide to preserve that Barbarian Hut with the use of the Royal Hogs. So playing fantastically right now. The 2v2 specialist is here in head-to-head play.
Absolutely, Rich, and I really believe that is the correct play because we've seen this deck and the way that it succeeds so much is by kind of overwhelming your opponent. And that is exactly what's happening right now as Razor is slightly getting overwhelmed by these pushes from the God RF.
And the more the God RF can keep his foot on the gas and keep Razor from playing optimal expos, the better chance he has. Remember, we are now about 45 seconds through our overtime period. Since we are in King of the Hill, it is all lowest single tower, and with the lead that Razor has right now, that their God RF has right now, he is in a very, very good position. It's going to be hard for this expo to get past this deck.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I'm the God RF and I can comfortably play defense and just kind of throw spells down every now and then, he is in a great position to kind of just sit back and take this game. However, Razor is not going to let him get comfortable whatsoever. That Barb Barrel is a brutal siege counter.
Well, and then on top of that, you add in the cannon cart, real expo death right there. So a tough matchup here for Razor between the cannon cart and the Barb Hut. And at this point, like you said, Andrew, I think the God RF is going to just play very, very tight defense, maybe get some spell damage when he can to stay ahead, and just do his best to prevent that expo being the only real way to get direct damage on tower besides that fireball.
Absolutely, Rich. Why overcommit when you've got the damage lead and you know this game isn't going to end in a draw? And there it is right there. You said it yourself, the expo killer, that cannon cart being dropped on top of it. Razor has got to be so very frustrated by this matchup.
So nasty, and now down at 673 on that right-hand tower, so the God RF really in a great position here as we go into the final minute of overtime. Really just has to not make any mistakes, and this game should be his. And yeah, it's been the rise of the cannon cart and the Royal Giant collectively have made things so difficult for Expo players.
Yeah, that is so very true there, Rich. And now, with 40 seconds away from this game ending, we are essentially one Immortals win away from them going to Tokyo, and Complexity looking for the reverse full King of the Hill sweep here.
Trying to find a way past that cannon cart. The Expo just cannot get through, so 26 seconds left. This looks like the God RF's game, the split lane pressure, the tornado to bring them to the middle, but as soon as that Magic Archer takes care of the Ice Whiz, some more tower damage, so you might not even need a lowest tower situation
that's
here.
Going to be tower down, maybe not. No reason to go all in. That Fireball's not going to do it. No reason to overcommit. Razor recognizing, calling good game, and the God RF taking out the first two representatives from Complexity. Right now, it is just Adrian Piedra standing in the way from Immortals' flight to Tokyo.
And there you go, all the players from our season in the back watching very, very closely with this crazy matchup. And here it was, just the story of the game. The pressure was high from the God RF, and there was, after this push specifically, there was really no way for Razor to get back in the game.
Well, the problem, Rich, with Expo that we've found here at CRL is once your opponent recognizes a great way to continue to defend against it, it's basically impossible to break through. And you saw here Razor with 36 seconds left just trying to switch things up, going in the opposite lane. Now, keep in mind, if that Expo would have locked, it probably would have taken it below 673 HP had, the God RF not defended at all. But a really tough matchup for the representative from Complexity.
Barb Hut and Cannon Cart, two real big stoppers, but the story now is going to be Adrian Piedra. He has done it here before. Can he do it here again to preserve Complexity's shot at the World Finals?
Let's go, Adrian.
And here we are, the God RF, one game away from a King of the Hill sweep against the one-time #1's Complexity. Adrian Piedra, though, looking to get this one back, and he has nearly done it before. He beat the God RF when they matched up in King of the Hill play in the past. But of course, this isn't the past. This is right now.
This is right now. This is the finals, and the God RF is riding high after that great 1v1 set and here in King of the Hill.
So if it's working, why not stick with it? Looks like the God RF running back at least a very similar deck, and Adrian Piedra showing Golem early.
Yes, sir. So it's going to be Golem against maybe this new Barb Hut variation. That Barb Hut and Golem, Adrian obviously seeing something he can take an advantage of right now, going directly into that Barb Hut. Not the play I would have made, because I think that the Barbarians do a great job at taking down that Golem, but I'm not Adrian Piedra, and I'm not at the finals.
Those bats really helping out quite a bit, but the Cannon Cart stopping most of the Lumberjack, and a Fireball cleans up a lot of that, although that Mega Minion does get free. That's a lot of damage in the right-hand lane.
Yeah, and those two bats staying alive just a little bit longer than the God RF had anticipated, and that's apparently it. Adrian saw an opening. He saw that Barb Hut go down. He saw the flying machine, and he knew he could somehow take advantage of it, and he did.
So halfway through regulation time, Adrian now cycling that log down to 1186. The God RF choosing to cycle as well and get a little damage on the left-hand side. Adrian not worried about those 2, 3, just 2 swings from that Barbarian.
Yeah, and that is obviously the correct decision, opting to Golem up once again. And now the God RF has the cards in cycle to punish in the left-hand lane.
That Tornado, though, really going to change everything. King Tower activation gets them off of his own Princess Tower. Gonna get down to around 1400, but still so much to deal with. The poison coming down. Adrian Piedra really in a great spot here.
Yeah, I mean, spending 3 for 5 essentially to defend and taking some damage there allows him to get a good push here on the right. That Lumberjack may be just a little overzealous, though.
Down to 864 with 30 seconds remaining in our standard time. Adrian Piedra with a nice lead. Of course, the God RF could defend well here and keep on punishing that opposite lane with 8 Elixir, and there we go. Adrian now choosing to defend with the Log and Mega Minion combination.
And the Cannon Cart coming down as well. Nothing there to respond, and this is a tower trade situation. He has to drop the Lumberjack to take out that Cannon Cart.
So Poison looking to clean that up, does not get Magic Archer, so that's a big moment here as well. The Magic Archer staying alive for a very long time.
Oh, still not going to be enough. That Baby Dragon going to NATO everything to tower, and Adrian finally takes down the God RF and narrows the gap by just a little bit.
And we keep on going. Wow, Andrew. If you wanted a North American final, you have it. How you feel about that there in the room, guys?
Hitting some high. Vulcan in the very front row is just very, very sad that he's not here. But my goodness, guys, here we are. You see this very first push coming in. And like I said, Adrian saw a window that you and I did not see at the desk, opting to go all in on this push. You see the Fireball coming in, missing just those 2 bats on the tower. Adrian throws out a little barb pick in his nose because he got a lot of damage in.
And it really felt like the God RF was back in it, especially with this Poison not getting the Magic Archer. Or, oh, sorry, it did get the Magic Archer. I must have had that wrong there. But still, it seemed like he was in it, but a couple of things escaped. The Baby Dragon gets on tower, and now Adrian Piedra takes out one more, and we're moving to our 4th game of King of the Hill, and up next, oh yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, 1 and 2 overall in King of the Hill, not showing up in the 1v1 set at all. 0-1 in 2v2, can he bring it home for Immortals?
Here we are. Oh yeah, in a huge spot. A win here would send his squad to the World Finals. And while not appearing a lot in a season, this win would really put him on the map.
Yeah, and no surprise here seeing 2 Tombstones come out. One of the most popular cards in the game right now.
Adrian Piedra giving a little eyebrow raise, so relaxed here.
Yeah, that's one of the things you really got to admire about this competitor, Rich, is, again, 8 and 6 in 1v1 sets, and he is the calmest person in the room right now.
He always looks like he's dancing.
Yeah, and he's always singing to himself before games, laughing right now, you know. Again, I said it before, I really admire his energy despite winning or losing.
Oh yeah, seems fairly unflappable as well, though when you talk to him, he always seems so relaxed. So curious to see what these guys have in store. First minute down, not much happening.
Yep, just going to let those tombstones go to battle.
Oh yeah, currently ahead on emotes.
About a 4 emote lead.
In his 3 appearances, Oh Yeah has played 2 Royal Hog decks and 1 Three Musketeer Hog Rider deck.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the Hogs and the Piggies, and very curious to see if that's going to come out today. However, seeing that Ice Wizard... Oh, no, excuse me, that's Adrian's Ice Wizard. Sorry. Electro Wizard.
So a slow start here. We are moving very, very close to our double elixir time, and neither player really taking any big risks early on.
Yeah, and once again, you see those cards, the Ice Wizard, the Tombstone, and the Baby Dragon. You got to think there's going to be a NATO, especially after seeing the Bowler. This is a nightmare for any deck that succeeds on squishy troops. However, Oh Yeah doesn't have a lot of those.
And a Prince is, you gotta love that against the Bowler because it does not get knocked back.
Yeah, that's a great response. The Prince is so strong right now, doing so much damage and having a ton of health, Rich.
So are we seeing, you know, until the Lightning, it felt like it might be Graveyard for Adrian Piedra, potentially. Yeah. Oh yeah, also showing possibility that the E-Wiz.
Adrian probably running a Royal Giant deck.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, especially now that we saw the Lightning. Oh yeah, here. I mean, we've seen him come up so little. That's one of the things that you got to think maybe that's why he came into King of the Hill, and you can't really strategize against him. A team in complexity that really succeeds when their strategy pays off. And they have some of the best strategists in the league.
So Poison trying to do some cleanup work on the right-hand side, although that Tombstone behind the tower making life really hard for that Prince.
Yeah, you know, and if Adrian is playing the Royal Giant, I really enjoy the way that he's playing it very patiently. Some people get too excited about the damage that the Royal Giant can dish out early on and overcommit without being able to support it. Now, he also could just not be running one and not just wasting everyone's time.
Well, we are in sudden death overtime, and so far, Oh Yeah with the lead and playing exceptionally well here.
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. His defense is awesome. His elixir maintenance is fantastic. He's just doing a really good job here of staying in the game against one of the best. And there is finally that Royal Giant. Thank goodness.
That Tombstone, though, is going to be a problem for that Prince the entire way through. Royal Giant does not get on tower, though.
No, that Prince is just a devastating counter to the Royal Giant. And now you wonder if somehow Trainer Luis and his staff put Adrian on running this bowler deck with the Royal Giant, because that Prince is devastating.
That was a really important Lightning there. It does make things a lot closer, even though, Oh Yeah, with the Poison taking that right-hand tower down to 1352, there's still not a lot of HP separating it. Just a couple of Royal Giant shots could change everything here. Notice also that now we are in the final 2 minutes of overtime, so spell damage is going to be very important. We are in lowest tower here in King of the Hill.
I was going to say, it's got to be a graveyard, right? It has to be a graveyard. What else could it be? He's been holding on to it so long, and maybe this is his opening right now. The Tombstone picking up those units, that one skelly on the left side, okay, a decent amount of damage in from the very first graveyard we see out of Oh Yeah.
Quite a lot of damage there, although this Royal Giant going to be tough to deal with. But here's the great part about that Prince. The Lightning, though, huge. I was saying the great part about the Prince is that the bowler can't clear it out of the way.
Yeah, so you had to imagine that Lightning was going to come in cleaning up those units. However, that E was coming down, that stun, very detrimental to the Royal Giant's offensive capabilities. And now Oh Yeah is opting to play his Poison in the right-hand lane to get those pesky skellies and Tombstones out of the way. But did he miss the top right one? Doesn't matter.
And Adrian probably playing Tornado as that last card, but we haven't seen much of a reason to use it yet.
No, I mean, you don't want to NATO right here and bring units closer to your Royal Giant, and now it doesn't matter because you don't need to support the Baby Dragon. Not going to do enough damage. So maybe this is just a straight matchup advantage for Oh Yeah. You see Adrian having to pull that Ice Golem, the tank out, but still not enough to take all those skellies down, Rich.
And down to 441, 307.
Oh my gosh!
173. This
Immortals
is going to be it.
They're going to Tokyo. They are going to Tokyo, man. They just need to get a poison down on that tower, and Complexity is done. Being on top for so long, and there it is!
Immortals is your North American champion!
Oh my gosh, they've battled for so long starting off. You hear their coach in the war room, so much faith in his team, saying they're the best in the world, and they always have been. Rich, we're going to Tokyo with Immortals and Queso.
And there you go, the gallery there. Stunned here. Oh Yeah, showing up in the single biggest game of his career against one of the best in the world.
You know, keeping his head down, playing, never asking for too much here at CRL, just waiting for his moment. And what a moment to have, my friend, sending your team all the way to Tokyo, Japan for the World Finals.
And there's a big smile from Oh Yeah. Haven't seen a ton of emotion from him, but in this moment right now, yeah, this is probably the best he's felt maybe in his entire life. Unbelievable moment. Complexity, such a fantastic squad. Really looked like the team to beat here, but Immortals, and look, not even needing Royal and King of the Hill.
Hey, you know, you and I were talking about why they didn't use Royal in that fourth 1v1 set, but you know what? We don't coach Immortals. Trainer Luis had a game plan. Oh Yeah came in and did exactly what was planned, and Immortals taking down Complexity once again to go all the way to Tokyo. How poetic to be the first team to ever beat them and then face them in our final match of the regular season.
We'll get that trophy over to Immortals very soon, but let's take a look at these replays. And this was the final graveyard. He couldn't get it down much early, but this was the moment where Oh Yeah seals things for his squad.
And you see those skellies just ticking away. They just keep spawning. 1, 2, 3, 4 more, 5 more hits, and it takes it to below that beautiful magic number of the poison at 216. And wow, that was, I mean, you saw his bench celebrating before he did. Amazing. And you see the celebration from his coach right there, giving him the biggest bear hug imaginable. Everyone else from Immortals hopping in, and Oh Yeah having the greatest game of his life. The God RF starting things off, taking out Colton and Razor. Oh Yeah stepping in at the very end and taking out Adrian Piedra. Immortals going all the way to Tokyo, Japan. They are up there with my good buddy Rich Slayton. I gotta go join him. We will see you on the other side.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. What a North American final, all the way to King of the Hill. How else could we do it? And two players stepped up huge here in this final set. First, the God RF. You know, you didn't play a lot of head-to-head this season, but of course the 1v1 set you won. And then there in that King of the Hill, 2 wins. Did your ladder play this season help you prepare for this moment?
Yeah, I love ladder so much. I play it like 3 hours a day, probably every day. I love it end of the season. I think that's how I started to become a good player, and that's how I got here today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big moment, and the biggest moment probably in that King of the Hill set, pulling the golem back to make room for your cannon cart. Was that an in-the-moment play, or did you plan for that?
That was mainly in the moment play because I knew he was golem because it was kind of slow. So I decided cannon cart, hope he golem, then I just nadoed it back and took the game.
And a big game it was, but talking about big games, no bigger game than the final one, today's hero. Oh Yeah, taking out Adrian Piedra. Just really fantastic work. And tell me a bit about that matchup. It seemed like it was a good one for you. When did you know you had that in hand?
I'd say around when I had him down to probably about 500 HP, I knew that he wasn't going to be able to break through if I kept my Prince in hand and enough elixir to play it.
And that you did, and of course getting the win. Now you didn't play a whole lot this season, waiting for your moment, and then no bigger moment than this one. What are you feeling right now, having taken your team all the way across the Pacific Ocean to Japan?
It's pretty good.
Nothing else needed, but of course to give them their trophy, and to do that here, we have Chris Cho from Supercell to make things official. Chris, take it away.
Immortals, thank you for the amazing season. You guys are the first Clash Royale League North American champions. We'll see you in Tokyo.
Yes. That we will. So here we go. Immortals, your North American champions. And there you have it. That's your North American champions. We will see you at the World Finals in Tokyo on November 30th. I'm Rich Slayton for Andrew Guy, Christy St. John, everyone here. It has been a fantastic season. We will see you in Japan.
Only a few short months ago, the best teams in North America launched their battle for the CRL crown. Along the way, so many furnaces burned, and so many zappies zapped. Towers fell by the hundred, all leading to this moment. Immortals have proven their greatness in the arena. They have claimed the crown as the best in North America. And now it is on to Tokyo for the World Finals. Subscribe to the Clash Royale Esports channel. Tune into the World Finals on December 1st. And remember, if you ever miss me, don't fret, for I will always be just a click away on that little mobile device in your pocket. And of course, the CRL lives forever on YouTube. Go ahead, binge it, and thank you.